There are many types of plagiarism, or labels for the same type of offense. It is important that you understand the act that constitutes plagiarism in each one of these examples. In the next section, we are going to discuss the 8 types of plagiarism below: verbatim copying, straight plagiarism, patchwriting, collusion, purloining or theft, ghostwriting, recycling, and make-up referencing. Verbatim copying refers to copy material word by word with insufficient or no acknowledgement of the original author. This is simply reproducing the work of others, but presents as your own original work, so you become like a photocopy machine. Verbatim copying is a very common and easy to commit offense for many beginners, because all one has to do is simply copy and paste. Copying and pasting text places you at risk, and therefore should try and avoid doing that. Take note of these advices below to avoid verbatim copying. The exact words of the original author must be used sparingly and only reserved for cases where the meaning of the original text may be lost if paraphrased. Where you use the exact words of the original author, you must declare such by using direct quotations or proper citations following your facility's referencing style. Straight plagiarism, just like verbatim copying, involves taking the work of others and presenting it as your own original work. The difference is that the work of others is not acknowledged and the non-originality is disguised by changing the sentence structure, using synonyms, and adding or deleting some words. The act is still similar to photocopying another person's original design and modifying it minimally, for example, the color or size of their design, but claiming it to be original. This type of plagiarism could be a result of one trying to mask or disguise plagiarism, but sometimes it could be a result of poor paraphrasing or summarizing techniques, in which case one may wish to claim or plea that they use their own words. However, before making such pleadings or claims, note that if you do not declare or cite the source of an idea or interpretation, then you are implicitly making a claim that the work is your own original ideas and interpretations. But we know this not to be true, as your own work is strikingly similar to that of your sources in content and only slightly different in grammatical presentation. Therefore, to avoid this type of plagiarism, ensure that the paraphrased or summarized text is still to be attributed to the author of the original text, but properly referencing the sources. Patchwriting refers to copying sentences from multiple sources and making it fit together and submitting that as your own original work. This type of plagiarism may involve verbatim copying or straight plagiarism, where the attribution of ideas to the original sources is lacking. But patchwriting may also mean that your work consists of mostly paraphrased text and direct quotations with no originality. In this context, the quoted text is not synthesized and discussed in a manner that demonstrates your understanding or interpretation of the topic, but it is rather a mashup of other people's work. Well, if you're thinking of doing this, please don't. An example of patchwriting is where a paper properly uses direct quotations, paraphrasing, summarizing, and referencing techniques. However, the text is only made up of cited text and quotes. It is not a synthesis or discussion that demonstrates underlying of the writer. To avoid the offense of patchwriting, always aim for originality by synthesizing text and discussing it in a manner that demonstrates your understanding and interpretation of those sources. Always acknowledge the sources that you have consulted. Use the exact words of the author sparingly and only reserve for cases where the meanings of the original text may be lost if paraphrased. And whenever you paraphrase or summarize texts, you must attribute the text to the original sources. How to avoid plagiarism. Plagiarism can be avoided by following these advices below. Always do your own work and aim for originality. This can be achieved by synthesizing sources, text, discussing it in a manner that demonstrates your understanding. Remember to always give credit to all the sources that you've consulted by providing citation and references for both direct quotations and paraphrased texts. Always keep track of the sources that you have consulted and ensure that you provide accurate bibliographical information about the sources. Avoid submitting work that has been previously graded, whether your own work or someone else's. Avoid mashing up sentences and text from other people's work and making it seem like new original work. Never submit work that has been written for you by someone else. By following this advice and some of the good principles of academic writing, you will be sure to avoid plagiarism. Collusion refers to presenting someone else's work as your own original work and doing so with their permission. This means that one may not give their work to another student to copy. One may also not present another student's work as their own original work. Well, the only antidote to this type of plagiarism is doing your own original work. Paralloing refers to presenting someone else's work as your own original work and doing so without their permission. This is simply theft. Remember that you may not submit another student's work without or with their permission. Always do your own work. Ghostwriting refers to presenting work done by someone else for a fee or a favor as your own original work. Remember that you might not present work done by someone else as your own work. Rather spend time and effort in doing your own work and consult with a library information specialist, your lecturers, and credible sources in order to produce your own original work. Recycling, also known as self-plagiarism, refers to presenting work to be assessed more than once. This violates the expectation of originality and it is cheating as you have already been rewarded through grades for that work. Remember that work submitted in the past cannot be resubmitted again in another module or in another assessment. Providing false, inaccurate, or incomplete information about the sources is also plagiarism. This is called make-up referencing or misinformation. Usually, this act serves to make it impossible to find or track the information sources that you quote. Remember to keep track of the sources that you have consulted and always provide full, accurate bibliographical information.